Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the NoDQ.com live recap of Monday Night Raw for Monday, December 6th, 2021. We are on the road to the beginning of 2022. WWE Day 1 coming up on January 1st. But before that, we have several more episodes of Raw. And this Raw kicked off in a big way. We had a steel cage match starting off this show. Now we had Seth Rollins cut a backstage promo, Big E cut a promo, Kevin Owens cut a promo, and then we had our cage match. The only thing missing from the promos at the beginning, we needed that old Saturday night's main event music in the background playing, but that's fine. We had the cage match, Big E, the WWE Champion, versus Kevin Owens. Owens, the heel that he is, tried to escape right away. Big E grabbed Owens, threw him into the cage repeatedly, and then Big E went for one of his running spears out of the ring, but he missed and he went right into the steel cage, which helped Owens get the upper hand. Owens was on the rope, the top rope, and he did a springboard moonsault. Both guys were trying to climb to the top. Big E got knocked down. Owens kept going. Big E finally caught him. And then Owens managed to turn that into a sunset flip powerbomb. Big E managed to kick out of that. And by the way, what do you guys think about cage matches with pinfalls? Leave a comment on YouTube and let me know. I know some fans prefer the old school way where it's just climb over the top or go through the door. The match continued, and speaking of the door, Big E made a comeback and was going to get out of the ring via the door, and that's when Seth Rollins showed up. Seth Rollins was wearing an outfit that made him look a little bit like Kane, I guess. Red and black, very similar to Kane's old attire. Rollins, you have to have it in every cage match. Rollins slammed the door onto Big E, and the match continued. The announcers were talking about how Rollins wanted this cage match to go on as long as possible so these guys would be worn down. I guess that makes sense, right? So the match continued, and Big E ended up hitting an avalanche big ending to Kevin Owens. Went for the door. Owens tried to stop Big E but was unsuccessful. Big E got to the outside and won the steel cage match with nothing on the line. But he did pick up a win, picked up momentum heading into the Day 1 pay-per-view. And afterwards, Kevin Owens attacked him, and then Kevin Owens went after, or not Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins. After the match was over, Seth Rollins attacked Big E, and then Seth Rollins went after Kevin Owens. But then you had Big E saving Owens from a curb stomp, and then Big E, for good measure, hit another big ending to KO. And then after the commercial break, it was revealed that Bobby Lashley showed up during the break and took out everybody. Bobby Lashley is a man on a mission, the former WWE champion. Took out all three guys, unhappy that he's not in the title match. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, how about cage matches with only pins and submissions? Well, I think people like the whole idea of escaping the cage at the end to win because it's something different. Pins and submissions, you see those in every single match. Steve-O says, pinfall or climbing to escape, no more of this, open the cage for me, please. If climbing to escape is too much, a liability, then make it pinfall only. And that's coming from Steve-O. Steve-O also says submission is fine, better than asking the referee to open the door. And DJW sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. He says you can tell more in a story within the match with no pinfalls or submissions in a cage match. And that is true. The cage match used to be about settling a grudge. And it wasn't about pins or submissions. It was about beating up your opponent until you were done with them and you settled the score and then you left the cage. That's how it used to be back in the day. But again, that was a very long time ago. Hell, they were doing that before I was even born. And before most of us were born, for that matter. We had Zelina Vega come into the ring for a match with Nikki Ash. And Zelina had Carmella. Nikki had Rhea Ripley. Zelina cut one of her promos doing the British accent, whatever. And they traded some pins early on. Zelina tried to cheat with her feet on the ropes, but the referee caught her. Nikki went for a crossbody off the top, but she missed. And then Zelina hit the code red, picked up the win. Not much to say about it. But there was a storyline backstage. Maybe there's a ray of hope. Maybe this is going to be the end of Nikki Ash, A-S-H, whatever the hell her name is. Because backstage, a woman approached Rhea Ripley and Nikki Ash and said she wanted an autograph. Nikki thought it was for her. Turns out it was actually for Jerry the King Lawler, who was standing right behind them for some reason. And Nikki was very offended by this, and she stormed off. Maybe she's going to turn heel. I hope so. I hope they do something with her. Jerry Lawler, of course, Memphis guy. This show was in Memphis, and Jerry Lawler reportedly signed a new deal with WWE. They're keeping him around for whatever reason. We had Matt Riddle and Randy Orton interviewed backstage, and we had a tag team tournament announced. 4-team tournament because, well, Raw only has like 4 teams. They were talking about being special guest hosts. Well, Riddle was. Riddle was wearing a blazer, and he had a blazer for Randy Orton to wear. They were going to be the broadcasters, and Orton was not crazy about this, but he reluctantly put on the blazer, and then they came down to the ring to watch the first match, which was the Street Profits versus AJ Styles and Omos. The Profits cut a little promo before the match, and Omos was getting involved early. He held the rope down. Dawkins fell to the outside of the ring, and then Omos worked over Dawkins for a while. Omos tagged out, and in typical fashion with AJ and Omos matches, once Omos is out of the ring, the other team gets the advantage over AJ Styles. But then Omos tagged himself back in. However, because earlier in the match, he had been knocked off the apron by Dawkins and Ford with a double drop kick, he was pissed off, and he went after Dawkins. He was just so angry, he got counted out. AJ and Omos lost via countout to the Street Profits. And then afterwards, Riddle got in the ring to do his broadcasting job and interview AJ Styles, who was not amused by any of this. AJ said that Riddle should be interviewing the winners, and Riddle said he just goes for the biggest stories. And the AJ Styles Omos situation was interesting because right after the match was over, AJ tried to have some words with Omos, and Omos just walked off on him. Are we finally seeing a split of AJ and Omos? Well, I guess that remains to be seen. AJ said it was just a miscommunication, and he took his leave. And then Riddle asked if Orton had anything to add to this, and Orton was like, nope. Then backstage, Orton said his broadcasting career is over, and he gave Riddle his blazer back. But Riddle was happy that Orton even played along for this one match, I guess. Whole thing was kind of goofy, but, you know, that's what they're doing, and I'm sure some people liked it. People in the arena got the photos of the 2 guys in the blazers, whatever. Liv Morgan cut a promo, And we also had a promo from Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan was in the main event slot of this show, which was an interesting choice. DJW with a $2 super chat says, Aaron, how would you book Omos when he splits from AJ? Well, if you're going to go with Omos as a giant, then you got to keep pushing him and you got to put him in these big programs. The question is Omos ready for it? But I do think that you invested all this time in him. I think you need to try and make something out of him and push him as a top guy. But can he live up to that hype? Can he be that guy that can deliver on a main event level? That remains to be seen. I suppose you got to try with it, though. So, yeah, I would definitely put him in there, potentially with Big E for the WWE title or whoever the champion is whenever him and AJ split. I think you got to try to have Omos go for the main title, right? We had Liv Morgan and Becky Lynch. Their match got hyped up with a couple of promos, and Becky Lynch said that it's the biggest night of Liv's career, but for her, Becky Lynch, it's just another Monday. We had Damian Priest and his U.S. title open challenge, and he had Robert Roode accepting the challenge. Dolph Ziggler was out there on the apron. Roode had no intro, which means he's not winning, and I don't think anybody ever thought he was winning to begin with. So because of that, I had little to no interest in this match. It was okay, but pretty standard stuff here. Ziggler interfered, helping Roode get the upper hand for a while, but then Priest made a comeback, hit the reckoning, picked up the win, and then Ziggler attacked Priest after the match, so I guess we get Dolph Ziggler versus Damian Priest next week or 2 weeks, whenever, and then Ziggler could say, do something, and then he loses. Probably the same old song and dance. And as Darren G says in the chat, if you're new and you enjoy this, make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend on social media. And you guys check out Jeff Meacham's channel after this. I heard he's going live and he's got a lot to say, so make sure you guys tune in for that. And I'll plug Virtue as well since he's here. NoDQ.com/merch. We have a brand new Virtue Apology t-shirt. You can get one right in time for Christmas if you dare. We had Bianca Belair come into the ring for her match with Doudrop, but Doudrop attacked her during the entrance. We did have the match after the commercial break, and this was a pretty good match. Doudrop dominated for a long time. Bianca made her comeback. Could not put away Doudrop with a top rope crossbody. And then Doudrop hit a Vader bomb, which looked really good. Bianca kicked out of that, though. And then you had Doudrop starting to rip at the braids of Bianca Belair. She went for a cannonball, but she missed. And then Bianca tried to pick up Doudrop for the KOD, the Kiss of Death, but Doudrop managed to escape, and at that point, she just had enough. Doudrop walked away, got counted out, did the kiss my ass motion to Bianca, and that was that. So I guess this feud must continue, and we'll get a rematch from them at some point. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, at least Dolph Ziggler is more over than Madcap Moss. That is true. You are correct with that comment. We had Austin meeting backstage with Vince McMahon. I'm talking about Austin Theory, not Stone Cold Steve Austin. And Vince was mumbling something about maybe Austin having a match. And that was this first segment. There was another segment, which we'll get to here shortly. We had Miz TV, but no Maurice, even though she just came back. The Miz said that Maurice doesn't come to Memphis, Tennessee said it in the Andy Kaufman voice, which he did a lot better than I just attempted. Edge was his guest. Edge came to the ring and they had a little chat. And Miz talked about how the rated R superstar has lost his edge. And Edge is mentally weak. Miz said that he needed Edge's kindness back in 2006 when he debuted, when he got kicked out of the locker room. He does not need Edge's kindness now. Edge said that he went through the same thing as The Miz. However, unlike The Miz, he did not think that he was a bigger star than anyone else, and he's not afraid, or he was not afraid of losing his spot. He said The Miz is an ass. Miz responded by saying that Edge is a hypocrite and challenged Edge to a match at January 1, which I think he meant to say WWE Day 1. Edge accepted and said that they could have the match right there. You know, the typical thing where the good guy's like, let's have the match now. And Miz is like, nope. He isn't scared, though. He said he's not scared. And then Edge did the little fake out, lunging towards him, and Miz fell down like a clown. And that was the segment. So, I didn't think it was that good. Like, I thought last week's segment was a lot better. Like, just didn't do much for me. Kind of felt like they already used up their best material, and I really wasn't a big fan of Miz falling down like a clown. Just doesn't really make me want to see this match when Miz is already a goofball, and I don't take the guy very seriously. And we got a $5 super chat here from DJW. Thank you for that again. I very much appreciate it. It says, Virtue should not apologize for shit. Troll Slayer for life. And I'm sure Virtue appreciates that comment, although he did say below, character development. That's what's going on here. Some character development. And I agree with God first, hate it or love it. Gotta change the name Dewdrop for her to be taken seriously. I am 100% on that one. Walter Cruz says, hard to take Miz seriously. Absolutely. When he's falling on his ass, you know, that doesn't really do him any favors when he's in a match against Edge. Maybe if he's in a match against R-Truth, whatever, but not Edge. Next up, we had the Mysterios versus the Alpha Academy in another one of the RK Bro tournament matches. And this really wasn't much of a match. You had Matt Riddle out there. Randy Orton was done for the night. And it was a very short match. Otis did not even tag in. Gable was in the whole time. He went for a moonsault, but he missed it. And Dominic used the momentum to roll up Gable and picked up the win. And that was that. After the match was over, you had Riddle tried to interview them, but Otis power slammed poor Riddle and left him laying. Whatever. Steve Austin, kidding, Austin Theory, was doing jumping jacks backstage and said that, you know, whatever Vince needs him to do, he's ready to go. And Vince said that there was not going to be a match. Vince said that he wants Austin to find another way to impress him. And Austin responded by pulling down his vest so Vince could see his abs and continue doing his jumping jacks. And then Vince told him to stop. Vince said, go find another way. These Vince segments do nothing for me. He just seems so old, and I don't see how this helps Austin Theory. Like, just sitting there next to Vince is supposed to get him over. Like, Vince really should not be on TV anymore. Like, he just seems so old, and it does nothing. It does nothing for Austin Theory, quite frankly. We had the new 24/7 champion, Dana Brooke, walking around backstage. R-Truth and Tozawa confronted her, but did not try to win the title. Same thing with Reggie. And then Tamina, because she's a woman, she runs after Dana. Dana runs away, and, you know, that was the segment, whatever. I feel like I'm saying whatever a lot. Like, this show was just kind of boring. Virtue says it's just so Vince can say Austin. You're probably right on that. We had MVP and Lashley interviewed backstage, and like I said earlier, they were unhappy about Lashley not being in the title match. Felt that Lashley was being disrespected, blah, blah, blah. And then we had a video package for Liv Morgan, which was interesting. See, AEW does it all the time with the video packages, so I really don't think much of it. But when WWE does it, it doesn't happen that often that they do a video package that is in-depth like this and really looks into the background of the character and whatnot right before a big match. They did a Liv Morgan video package, you know, talking about her growing up as a fan. And it was really cool. And it made me think maybe she's going to get the title. It was definitely interesting. DJW with a $5 super chat, thank you once again, says, I feel like Chad Gable is Kurt Angle-esque, could be a main eventer, honestly. I think it's too little too late. I don't know if he was ever going to get that far because he's not the biggest guy, but definitely could have been like an upper mid-card Intercontinental Champion, US Champion type of character. Could have been right on the cusp of glory, but they chose to make him basically a comedy act, and you know, I only think he's gonna be at that lower tier for the rest of his career. Like the Shorty G thing really did him in. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, is a bad show better than a boring show? Yes, 100%, because at least a bad show is entertaining. A boring show is just like, can it please be over already? Walter Cruz says Austin Theory might get a big rub soon. Give a little more time, maybe. No, just kidding. Vince is so old, he is confused. Thinks this Stone Cold Steve Austin, he's stuck in attitude error. Well, thank you for that, Walter. Leatherface says Gable is not a star, he is just bland. And Psycho Jet Black says Chad Gable is too short and will get released. Steve-O says Chad's promo skills are all right, but Kurt Angle, he is not. So we had our main event, Becky Lynch versus Liv Morgan. Becky did her trash talking. Liv did a dive to Becky on the outside of the ring. But then Becky got the upper hand. Becky hit a superplex. Liv then made a comeback. However, she could not put away Becky. She hit double knees to the face, hit a flying drop kick. Becky kept kicking out. And then Becky got the disarmor on, but Liv got to the rope. Liv got Becky with an inside cradle, but you got another kick out from Becky. Then Becky countered another move by Liv into a pinfall, and then Becky Lynch, with her typical tactic of grabbing the rope, picked up the 1, 2, 3 to retain the title. How is it that the referee catches the other people trying to cheat, but they can never seem to catch Becky Lynch? Kind of interesting. They could make a storyline out of it, I suppose, but they probably would not do a very good job with it. So yeah, Becky Lynch won the match. Oh yeah, Mr. Anderson sent in a $2 super chat. I should forget things more often. Says, I forgot to mention the T-Bar Finn Balor match. Yes, I did miss that somehow. I was more interested in the 24/7 title segment, which tells you all you need to know. So Finn Balor beat T-Bar. Pretty standard match. Balor went up to the top. T-Bar tried to do an avalanche choke slam from the top, but got knocked off to the floor or to the mat. And then Balor hit the coup de grace and picked up the win. And then after the match, Austin Theory did what Vince told him to do, go out there and do something. So Austin went out there, attacked Balor, and did his selfie. I guess that's supposed to impress Vince. Isn't that what he's done to like 4 or 5 other people with the attack and then the selfie? Like, how is that any different? If Vince wasn't impressed by the other stuff, why would he be impressed by this? Again, whatever. Walter Cruz with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, Walter. He says, I feel like Vince is doing this so if Theory gets over, he can say, you know what, why you're over? It was me, Austin. It was me all along. Yeah, you might be right. And I mean, you have to think that they're going to use that line at some point. Otherwise, what's the point of all this, right? Psycho Jet Black says, who should beat Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair for their titles? Great question. I don't know about Becky. Maybe Bianca Belair. They finally have their big match. Maybe they do WrestleMania if Ronda Rousey is not coming back. But I would say Bianca should be the one to beat Becky and get her win. Charlotte Flair. Maybe Sasha Banks beats her for the title. Maybe Shotzi wins the title. Maybe Toni Storm. I don't know, but I could definitely see one of the three of them fairly soon winning the title so Charlotte can win it back and get closer to the 16 title reigns. $5 super chat here from God First, hate it or love it, but left no comment. And then I got a second $5 super chat from God First, hate it or love it. So thank you for the 2 super chats. Says, I found myself rooting for Liv Morgan. I think this was a great showing for her tonight. Match was fine, but there was no crowd heat for this, or very little crowd heat for it. I'm not going to say none, but it didn't feel like there was much in the way of crowd heat for this match, which is unfortunate for the ladies, and maybe people just did not buy Liv as a credible challenger, and that's what happens when you have somebody booked so poorly for so long, and then all of a sudden they're in the main event, and Becky's saying, you're not worthy of being a champion. Well, she's kind of right. Becky was kind of right about her. Liv hasn't really done anything. Liv has lost pretty much every match she's been in, and then all of a sudden she's getting a title match. So Becky Lynch, the heel, is kind of telling the truth. It's hard to get emotionally invested in the match. I think that's what the problem was with this. If Liv was being built up for 6 months and kept winning some matches, maybe you would have had more crowd heat for this. Just saying. Well, Mike has a different take. Mike says, I think the main event did a great job of making Liv a star tonight. The crowd loved her. Whoa, plane outside. Not sure if you guys heard that. And Psycho Jet Black says, I forgot T-Bar is still employed by WWE. Me too, unfortunately. They got to get rid of that name. I'm thinking they're not going to, and he'll be released before he goes back to being Dijakovic or Dijak. You know, they already got Dominic Mysterio. Guess there can only be one Dominic on Monday Night Raw. All right, so let's get to the letter grade for the show. I was not a big fan, so I'm going with a C+. It was kind of a lackluster Raw, in my opinion. Did not do much for me. Mr. Anderson sent in a $2 super chat, says, Liv will get her moment at WrestleMania in Dallas. Wishful thinking on your part, I'm guessing. I would be surprised. Like, it's probably going to be Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey or Bianca Belair, something like that. Liv's moment, if she's lucky, she'll even get a match on WrestleMania, and maybe she'll win that match. Some kind of multi-woman match, probably. And not that she doesn't deserve the opportunity. I'm just thinking what WWE tends to do. And this was probably her one match, and they're going to move on. DJW with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that, DJW. I appreciate it. Says, I can go to WWE Day 1 if I wanted to here in Atlanta, but the build isn't convincing enough yet. What a shame. What could WWE to sell me, Aaron? Well, I don't know what you want to see out of this pay-per-view. It's an interesting concept, trying to do a pay-per-view on the first day of the year. It'll probably be a good pay-per-view. But yeah, it's not something that I would necessarily go out of my way to buy a ticket for, that's for sure. I would be perfectly content just watching WWE Day 1 at home, even if I lived in the city of Atlanta. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, when is Alexa Bliss coming back? Good question. I mean, I guess that depends on when she's ready to come back and when WWE has something for her. I feel like she's probably not going to come back with the Playhouse gimmick. Maybe they're keeping her off TV long enough so people forget about that gimmick and she can come back maybe as her old self, or maybe have a new gimmick, change things up a little bit. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I feel like that Funhouse, Playhouse gimmick, whatever it was, needs to be put to pasture. Like, it had its run, wasn't a very good one, and I mean, it was good before WrestleMania, I'll say that. But yeah, after WrestleMania, no. Biblical Adrian sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. It says, who do you think should win the Royal Rumble match? Depends on who's in it. It's too soon for me to really make a strong prediction on it. Like, in a perfect world, I'd have somebody come in that was from NXT that could win and potentially go into a main event at WrestleMania. Probably too soon for somebody like Braun Breaker. If they hadn't fired him, Karrion Kross or Keith Lee would have been great choices to build them up, take them to the next level, but they're fired. So now I don't know. Maybe you have Bobby Lashley win it to build him back up for title contention. Would not shock me if Brock Lesnar wins it, but it's really hard to say at this point. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, will Big E go into WrestleMania as WWE champion? That's a really good question, and I would like to say yes, just so he gets his moment, but I would not be surprised if he drops the title before WrestleMania. I'm still thinking that we might get somebody else in that Raw WWE title match, whether it's Brock Lesnar going back to Raw or something. You know, they got to have a big marquee match on the Raw side. And who else do you have go up against the champ? And who do you even have as the champ? Like, I feel like Bobby Lashley is going to be one of the contenders. Maybe they wait on Big E versus Bobby Lashley until WrestleMania. Maybe Bobby Lashley wins the Rumble and then challenges Big E at WrestleMania. Could see something like that happening. Maybe. But would also not shock me if Brock Lesnar wins the Rumble. So anyways, let's see the letter grades for this show. Oh, Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Says, message deleted by no DQ Virtue. Ouch. Not sure if he actually deleted it or if Psycho Jet Black is trolling the Troll Slayer. DJW with a $5 super chat says, the No DQ Galaxy wants to know your thoughts on the Jeff Hardy incident leaving in the middle of the match during the live show. I think he had a legit reason. I'm not going to speculate on it because I don't know what the deal is. I hope that he's okay, and that's it. It's up to him if he wants to issue a public statement and talk about it, but if not, it's his business, and I wish him well, and I hope he's all right. Not much else to say about it. I'm not gonna speculate on why he walked out of the match like that. I don't know. LaShawn gives the show a boring C-, and Matt Holmes gives it a C+. Joey Perez says C, felt right. CC Drink B-. Mohammed with a C-. Mr. Anderson with a B, and the game is on 100 with a C. And looking at the poll that I posted, 28% thumbs up, 12% thumbs down, 34% thumbs middle, and 25% did not watch. And like I said, I give it a C+. Wrestling was pretty good on the show, but kind of a boring episode of Raw. And man, I'm not even sure what I would recommend if I was going to tell you to watch something from Raw. I guess the cage match was fine. And the Dewdrop match was pretty good, although they just did a count out. So it's like the match really was just an angle to set up a future match between them. Not much I can really recommend from this week. Anyways, guys, that's all I got. You can head over to the Jeff Meacham Network channel for Jeff's live stream. Thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. I really do appreciate it. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest wrestling news and rumors. Take care, everybody, and I will see you all